VHS, the original home physical media format. The original way we used to sit down and enjoy our movies from the comfort of our own home. What's my thoughts on them? With Vice Press now releasing some new titles on the VHS format, will I be dipping my toes in? Or will I be forever saying goodbye to these? For me, VHS was a big deal in my home. It was how I first started collecting, like many people of an older generation, started to collect physical media. That's how we had our films. That's how we used to record our favourite TV shows so we could have them on a rewatch. Now, you see a lot of people collecting VHS, older VHS these days in the physical media community. And I'm not going to knock that. I can't knock that. I can't knock anyone's collecting habits any more than anyone can knock my collecting habits. But VHS for me. Now, I switched over from VHS to DVD in the 1990s, the late 1990s. I want to say 1999. I remember my first ever DVD purchase, and it was Species 2, American import. Yes, Region 1 DVD, Species 2. At that point, I forever said goodbye to VHS. VHS I'd collected from probably the age of 12. Yeah, I would pick up VHS tapes around that age with my pocket money, with money that I'd earned from a little job that I had, things like that. And I amassed a collection, quite a wealthy collection of VHSs. I remember picking up the Star Trek Next Generation VHSs, the Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Every time they came out, every release that came out, the day they got released, I would buy them. I would rush home. I would love watching them. I really did. The one thing I didn't like was the space that they took up. You know, I'm talking a huge amount of space for a complete Star Trek. You know, Star Trek Next Generation, Star Trek 2, 7 seasons. 7 seasons they ran. And now I'm looking across my room and I can see the Star Trek Next Generation Blu-ray box set that is yay big for the entire series. So imagine the space that was taken up. So nowadays I have a handful of VHS in the collection, numbering one hand pretty much. I have a couple of versions of The Punisher. I bought this off of eBay some time ago. This one was gifted to me, and I have Star Trek Deep Space Nine gifted to me. I have Saving Private Ryan one that was gifted to me by Matt. This came from Video Tasties, by the way. Gareth at Video Tasties, thank you very much. I have Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the pilot episode that came from Matt over at Matt V's Movies, the Thin Red Line box set. So I have a couple of VHS tapes for the purposes of nostalgia. That's it. For, you know, just for the memories of a bygone era of collecting. Obviously through DVD, collected DVD, we have had some releases that were retro inspired by VHS tape, and I've got a number of those sort of things, you know, but they've just got discs inside, nothing else. I picked The Punisher for this chat because they're across the way on the shelves. My other VHSs are probably still in boxes yet to be unpacked, to be honest. But there we go. So VHS for me really died in the late 1990s. I can honestly say that by the year 2000, I never watched or used VHS again. The minute that DVD came into my home, I quickly amassed a small collection of DVDs like everyone else did, and I would just stick to watching those discs. I never put in a VHS tape again. So, with people now collecting more and more VHS in the physical media community, does that inspire me to go out and maybe search some out, to dip into some of these new releases from Vice Press? Evil Dead 2. I love the Evil Dead 2 as much as the next person. It's a great film. But I can honestly say that the answer to this question is no. No, I have no interest in stepping back. Nostalgia is one thing, and I'm big on 80s nostalgia. Believe you me, you know, 80s animation, Transformers, Thundercats, Mask, TMNT, all this sort of stuff. I've got all of the collections on DVD. I love them. I love that era. I love that era of film. The one thing I don't miss at all is VHS. Honestly, I do not. You know, I could imagine myself buying one of these Vice Press releases, sticking it into a VHS player that I don't actually own anymore. I don't have a VHS player stashed away somewhere, so I couldn't play them anyway, and nor would I care to. But I can just imagine my OCD when I stick in one of these tapes, and the minute I see one single dropout line, I am gonna go mental. Now, in 1997, Batman and Robin came out in the cinemas, and I picked up the VHS when it got a home media release, and I went home, I put it in the player, and it was Dropout Line City. This release had many a dropout line. I went back to the shop. I said, I'm not happy with this. I want to exchange it for another. There's too many dropout lines. Home I went again. Same issue. I went back another time. I got another version. Same issue. It was just dropout lines all the way through, because the tape quality that was being used at that point, at those latter days of life of VHS, had become shoddy, had become crap. Whenever I purchased VHS, I would normally, at this point in my collecting, those latter years, go towards X-Rental. Yes, X-Rental had been watched several times, but the tape stock was far better. It was far thicker and made for you to view several hundred times, whereas your home physical media release is made to watch just a handful of times before it starts to receive those dropout lines. Just to start seeing the tape quality reduce so much that dropout lines were appearing on new releases, no, it was time to let go. So I was happy with the days of Blu-ray coming into the fray. Those early days of Blu-ray, I was so happy. It's a far superior format, as is Blu-ray, sorry, DVD I was talking about there, as is Blu-ray over DVD, and then you've got a bit of an uplift between Blu-ray and 4K. Now, let's assume that I did have a VHS player. I had one, it was functional, I could connect it to my TV. To be honest, the new TVs are not designed to play VHS on. They're going to look far shoddier than what they would on the older TVs of that era. They certainly would. So I go and sit down and I want to watch The Punisher. I want to give this film another watch. So I've got the VHS copy, I've got a DVD copy, I've got a Blu-ray copy. Yes, this is sealed with a bit of a rip in it, but I do have unsealed ones. So what am I going to watch? Why on earth would I pick that over that? Why would I say to myself, do you know what? I fancy watching The Punisher. Let me put on the VHS copy over the superior copies that I own. It makes no sense to me, honestly. Better sound, better picture, overall quality, better. You know, like I said, I'm not knocking VHS or those who collect VHS. There's only really one person in the community that I know that I can honestly say is 100% behind VHS, who is still living that and still keeping it alive, so to speak. But with these new Vice Press releases, like I said, would I be tempted? The answer, as I already said, is no. I've got no inkling to step back into the purchasing of VHS. Even my favourite films, Jaws, would I pick? Let's not go there, because chances are I'd contradict myself, and I probably would pick up Jaws and keep it sealed just for posterity or just for that nostalgia factor. But I don't believe that I need to collect many a film at all on VHS. I think that'd be the only one. I wouldn't go any further than that. If Blade Runner 2049, those things got a release, would I pick it up? No. Matrix? No. I'm happy where Jurassic Park? No. Die Hard? No. These sort of things, I'm happy where I am with them. Jaws, just because it's my favourite film and it reminds me of that era, maybe. But my point is that I don't see the point in going backwards with this kind of format, with exploring the purchasing of this. I'll say the only positive thing out of this is when I see people picking up like Vice Press, Evil Dead 2 and this sort of a thing on a far inferior quality format, it makes me feel far better about myself when I double dip on maybe 2 copies of a 4K steelbook. It does, because it is just another form of double dipping at the end of the day. And sometimes people question me, why are you double dipping on that format? Why are you double dipping that film? Why have you got 2 of them? Why do you need 2 of them? I can justify that more than me saying I need a VHS copy of this movie. So for me, VHS died in the 2000s. It's going to stay dead. It's not making its way back into this household ever.